the process of the new agreement for cooperation between the European Union and Caribbean and African Pacific was completed. We have the new agreement, the Samoa Agreement, which I would encourage anyone who wants to export to the EU. Either your lawyer should look through it, or if possible, you look through it yourself. It's a highly complicated document that needs to be given a very, very serious attention. And I think on the economic perspective, next time, if you give us space on the schedule, I would call one of my officers from Brussels to come and take you through, especially those who are interested in exporting to the European Union. And now we've gone on to the second phase of finalizing negotiations for an economic partnership agreement. Because Uganda, now that we've reached the lower middle income level status, and if we do it consistently, we are going to be declared the lower middle income. It means that you're going to have a lot of products not being exported to the EU quota free. So that's why we as a government, we are moving quickly to negotiate and finalize on the EPA, Economic Partnership Agreement. We were delayed because our president insisted that we negotiate a regional EPA for East Africa. Now, but other countries had to move the way they were moving because, like Kenya, when they were declared middle income, they had first challenges of their traders. So Kenya immediately negotiated and concluded and signed theirs with the European Union. So, but now, today I received a brief from Brussels, from both the embassy and my office in Brussels, and I think we are doing very well with our Minister of Trade negotiating hard to conclude on the EPA. So it will be very, very important. And through your representatives who represent you in this Joint Parliamentary Assembly, we were able to push the European side, especially from the Parliament side, to ensure that they extend the deadline for the regulations on deforestation. But now, I don't know whether we are going to secure another extension. You better prepare. But we are having the next Joint Parliamentary Assembly between the 79 countries of Africa, Caribbean, and Pacific, together with the European Parliament. We are having one in November in Brussels, where we are going to again push and negotiate hard. Unfortunately, when I'm there, I don't speak for Uganda, because I was voted by 79 countries. I have to speak for the Caribbean, for Africa, for Pacific. But Caribbean is the 6th region of the African continent. They are Africans, so, but you find the challenges are different. So I want you to take keen interest in the new Samoa Agreement, which has a very critical part on market access for products from Caribbean, Pacific, and Africa to the European Union. And then you can make it very easy. You break it down for our people who are captains of the industry. So, like I said, the issues you talk about are issues which I feel, and Mukuru Kayemba, we've been discussing this, and some of us have been pushing government, because for me, when I read through the summary of your resolutions, there's the same issues: cost of electricity. How much does it cost? If we are talking about giving 5 US cents electricity to big industries, among them who is here? Who is here? Okay? So I think we must redesign our strategy, NPA. We must redesign our strategy to know that we must come up with processes and policies that favor SMEs. The engine of our economy are SMEs. And not only Uganda, but the world over. 58% of the exports of Germany are from SMEs. That's where the majority are. Okay? So how many people here would qualify for 5 US cents if we go by the limits of error? How many? Huh? So we must see a way of deliberately helping the SMEs to come on board, to be supported, and that's where most of you will fall. Otherwise, the big ones don't need to even come here. The big ones have access to State House. Hey, the big ones, they will call the switchboard and they'll be picked. So, my sister Irene, you are there, kindly. We need to push for what can help these small ones. And they are not small, but it's our structure of the industry. So, but not only affordable, but also reliable. I can give you an example of how interventions can save some of the industries. In 2016, I had just joined Parliament. I was on the Committee of Natural Resources. So we go to see Karuma, to supervise Karuma, construction of Karuma. And we found they were using cement from Kenya and China. And we said, you mean we don't have cement in Uganda? So they said, you know, reliability of supplies, these people, what? We pushed. And by the time we left Karuma, the contractor had agreed to start using Ugandan cement. So they started using Ugandan cement. But as we were leaving, I received a call from a friend who had interest in Kampala cement. He says, come and see why we failed to supply. I told the chairperson, we got Kampala cement in Mbarara. And we found Kampala cement per week was getting 36 hours of load shedding. You can't run a cement factory on generators. You can't. Minimum 15 megawatts. So we come back, we call the minister, and that's when we pushed, and we had Namanve power station revamped. And the next time we visited, we found that now they were getting only 8 hours of load shedding. Now, just imagine the difference. So power, when I hear people saying we have extra power, no, we don't have it. We don't have it. So as I talk now, I think the Minister for Energy told you, at peak, we no longer have reserve power. That's why we are moving quickly, government is moving quickly to start, they are doing studies on 3 dams, I think Ayago, Kiba, and Arian. Yes. So those 3 are where we expect to get like 1,500, around 2,000 megawatts. Because I remember one is around 900, another one around 750, another one around 350. So that will give us an extra 2,000 megawatts. But now what about the disconnect between generation, and I was happy when I saw you requesting that the government should be speaking together in a synergized manner. Because I remember one of the reasons we were having crisis, we focused on generation, we didn't focus on transmission. We focused on generation and distribution. We jumped transmission. What happened? We went and built a dam. I think is it Agago? Is it? I think it's Agago. Agago. We built a dam of 48 megawatts. We commissioned it under capacity charge agreement, and for 2 years, we couldn't evacuate 1 kilowatt, and we paid over 200 billion shillings in deemed costs, because it's either take or pay. Katinga muna Uganda yagala amasanyalaze gori ne mumusasula billion 2 ebya damu kubeera awo naye nga temugajeeyo. So and when you ask, sometimes when you're tough, people start saying, he's harassing us, you're harassing government. These are not issues of supporting government or harassing government. They are issues of reality. In fact, for me, before you even talk about the corruption in government, if we could talk about the inefficiencies and leakages and we cost it, it is much higher than the one we lose in corruption. If they were corrupt but working, you know, it would be different. So I'm very happy you've raised it. So the issue of power, we have to look at it. Then the issue of transport. And you see, I pity my president, because every day he has told us, but we don't listen to him. Every day. And may I pray that maybe one day, when God is judging us actually, he should save him. Yes, because he has told us what to do, he has given us power to do it, but we are not doing it. We are not doing it. So, transport. Now, of course, I think we've tried on that, especially looking at the road network, how it has grown. Now the president has clearly directed and parliament has already appropriated the money to do the railway. I do hope the cost of transport, both for importation and exports, is going to be much lower. But also, we are going to invest much, much more money in the road network as the president has directed. Because government is an enabler. You see, you can go, you celebrate in your area. We have water, we have electricity, we have a tarmac. But how are you utilizing it as an individual to get yourself out of poverty? Or it's just part of the statistics. So the cost, the access to patient capital. I'm seeing here my sister Joanita from Uganda Industrial Research Institute, director. We've been talking about this issue. I visited the UDB several times. I remember there is a time even I took it to the president. The issue, what? 12%. When will you ever recover that money? How patient is that capital? Huh? How patient is that capital? It can't be. It can't be. If it is patient, why don't we put PDM money at 12% and use 0.5% per annum? Some of us who have borrowed money with the challenges of doing a business, 12% is very high, and patient capital should be money where you have a grace period of around 5 years minimum, and you have a repayment period of around 10, 20 years. So me, I appreciate UDB. I have borrowed money from UDB. But I've not seen a difference between UDB and the commercial bank in terms of kubanja, in terms of requirements, and even in terms of interest, because I know there are commercial banks where you can negotiate 12 to 13%. And by the way, instead of getting 12% of UDB, if I got 14% of the commercial bank, is much quicker and easier to manage. From experience, I'm talking from experience, because the other side, they say, we shall pay invoices, the manufacturer, and the moment your supplier knows he's getting the money directly from the bank, then you don't have negotiating capacity. Now, when money is on my account, I negotiate hard. I negotiate hard. Okay? I negotiate. I'm not negotiating for an invoice. No, I'm negotiating hard, really, really hard. So I hope, but I really want to, first of all, appreciate the management of UDB. They've done a fantastic job revitalizing UDB, because it had died, totally died. So I think now they have stabilized it. It's high time they revise their rates. To me, UDB should be running at 8%, because their money is guaranteed by government of Uganda. We have gotten for them even concessional loans. But I think I should even ask whether they are the ones who repay those loans or whether it's a taxpayer. Maybe one day Patricia, my very good friend, will tell me. But I think this is an issue indeed which we must discuss and agree on. And you will have our support as Parliament on this, on pushing to lower the lending, not only UDB, but also commercial banks. Because, you see, Uganda, I think, is the only country where you bring your money that you have bought bonds, you make interest, and all the interest you take away right away. Other countries demand that you first invest that interest in that country for 2 years minimum. I don't know whether that will be looked at as over-regulation. People in the banking sector, you know, but to me, it is much safer. It is very important for us as a government to look into that. Standards and certification, so, and licenses. Now, where I was, Mr. Ngavirano of Capital Shoppers has told the president that hotel owners need 27, they pay, he said 27 taxes. Then I was asking myself, how can we have, is it pay as you earn as you pay, value added tax, tax added value, excise duty, excise, income tax, tax income, what is it? So the good thing the Minister of Finance has said is going to look at. But most of the issues we face also on licensing, licenses. Now you find you're a hotel, when you're a hotel, you need a license for a bar. You need a license for a massage. Yeah? You need a license for a swimming pool. You need a license for a restaurant. I think even a license for people to sleep, I don't know whether it's needed. Then a license for KCCA. KCCA says you must have a trading license. I'm a hotel, I'm not trading anything, but you must have a trading license. And you cannot access some of the things, for example, tenders of government, without a trading license when you are not in trade. Then you ask yourself, are we normal? Are we? If I'm a five-star hotel, first of all, requirements of a five-star hotel before you grade me, you need me to have a swimming pool. You need me to have a restaurant. You need me to have a bar. You need... No, but you're saying I must go and get a license for each of those. For what? Then I'm not a trader. Why are you asking me for a trading license? You know? Then you find someone who has slept is charged for a sitter tax. I think we are about to also go into tourism tax as if I've come to do what? But I've come to demand my money. For example, this lawyer has come here to help us. Okay? And then when he sleeps, you say pay tourism tax. He didn't come for tourism, man. So, I think these are the hard questions. And what I'm saying here is what I'm going to refer to our committees in Parliament to go and look into. This is even what the president said. Why? I know, I'm a manufacturer. I'm in the cosmetics industry. So we produced one of the Carrefour during COVID had a product called surface disinfectant. And we said, surface disinfectant, why should it come from abroad? Come from abroad, made in Dubai? We said, let's do it at our factory. So we did, we put in, we tested. Now on branding, they said, no, you can never call it a surface, it must be toilet disinfectant. I said, but I need to use it on an office table, presiding over the house. What drives me? My first principle, I make a law that fits in society, not society fit in a law. You must have You must have standards and requirements that fit in a sector, not a sector fit in those standards. Because what you are stopping Ugandans from doing here, other countries are allowing them to do and exporting to Uganda. So you must be flexible. And we will support you. And Patricia, you know, we have supported you. We increased your budget, especially on surveillance, on the issue of surveillance. On that one, I promise you, you shouldn't compromise. No one should come and say, no, stop surveillance, because that's how you're going to remove counterfeits. But I think the issue of standards, the process of certification, we need to look into it. That's when we shall help our own people whenever Mama no watch years. Hey, you know, of course, our tawaini. So anyway, but I just, because I've seen them grow, Psalms, my son is like an addict of Psalms. Even me, wherever I'm traveling, I must pack gonja of Psalms. Wherever I'm going, I must pack a lot of gonja from Psalms. But now, really Psalms, they are gonja. So you tell me how standards and fonts and what will affect my appetite. Huh? So I hope we can look at that. Then predictable tax regime. But of course, Barina Songas, they have international standards they follow, okay? They follow international standards, they do what? But my question is, these products are entering Uganda. When we try to do the same product, ni mutugana. Atenga ziria zebweru muzikiriza. So we are saying, make it fair. Yeah, make it fair, make it easy for us. Predictable tax regime. Now, in the coming, we receive tax bills by 1st of April. So we are engaging with the minister already to say we need a predictable tax regime. So that, for example, if you bring a tax, give it around 3 to 5 years before changing it, so that I can plan very well. Yeah? I can plan very well. Because if I'm starting a business, these are some of the things which stop some of the international partners from coming. Because they ask you, your tax regime, how predictable is it? Every year you're changing. Every year. Now, if I borrow from a bank, I'm predicting my profitability to be this much. Then you add on a tax immediately, which will affect my business. Because usually we add, we rarely reduce. We are good at addition, we usually increase, okay? So I think a predictable tax regime is something which we really have to. And of course, time of getting things done. Pending. But I think now things have changed. Of pending, having a box of, in office, I'm told, I don't know if you people will still have me in mine, you can never put it. So I never found it there and you can never put it. Of having pending, is it incoming, outgoing and pending? Anyway, I don't know, some of us, because we know the more you direct make a decision, the more money you lose. So, as a government, we have to look at this, the issue of protecting people's innovations. We have to support UNBS strongly on surveillance, and I think we shall be having, I had already told the Committee on Trade to have a dialogue with you in this line. Then there is an issue whereby I request you, of course also government, we have to do it, to automate and digitize our businesses. That makes it very, very easy. I remember when we put around 68 billion in Ministry of Internal Affairs to automate and digitize passports. Now, do you still need a broker for passports? Do you still need a broker for driving permit? Now, and we have made more money as a government. In the end, we've made it very easy for you, but also we've benefited from that ease of you doing those things. Then I request you that as entrepreneurs, you need to localize supply chains so that Ugandan farms and SMEs can feed your factories. Bamama, abachiazi, abasams, ababera, East African roofings. We need to see a way of localizing. You know, Ugandans, we are the ones who say, we need local content, we need supply government, but when in your factories you don't allow Ugandans to supply you, you go to China yourself. So what you want government to do, you also need to do it. For example, SAMs. Now, when we are talking of PDM, how can we, people who are planting gonja, how can you coordinate with them so that you have known suppliers for gonja, okay, whom you can fall upon, and that's how your gonja will enter Europe, because the traceability will be very easy. So how do we abantu abanene, how are we supporting abatina bawansa aba parish model? Because we have customers, your customers. So government on tenfold growth, we are not only just looking at you. No, you will only succeed omuntu wawansi if that person succeeds. Because that's the person who will use your soap, that's the person who will drink your wine, that's the person who will take your chair, that's the person who will take your psalms, that's the person who will take your sheets from East African roofing. So we must see a way of connecting Nomun to Awansi. And that's why the target of government is uplifting the local person, so that the purchasing power of the Ugandan goes up. Okay? Then you need to partner with government on skills development, research and commercialization of innovations. Universities, our universities are doing very great innovations. How can we go there and we work out with them? How do we do it? How do we improve on better wine so that it goes on standards of being exported? I'm seeing Madvan here, Madvan Kachira. That Kachira gin is a big hit in America. How has he done? Because we don't want you to only produce for the Ugandan market. Our strategy has been twofold. Export. Where we cannot export, at least you do for import substitution. Because importing is not helpful. So we are looking at getting more exports. But before we get more exports, we can reduce on imports through import substitution. So all these interventions are aimed at that. With those very, very many words, I do hope that I will see Ugandan entrepreneurs thriving, because the NRM government has put in place an environment that can enable you to grow. The first environment is peace and security. You know, we have a very stable currency. We have a robust legal regime where you can sort out your disputes in courts. That's why I think last year we recruited more judges for the commercial court to unlock the commercial cases, the cases in the civil division, so that the money goes back into the economy. We have gone for alternative dispute resolution so that you can move quickly, resolve your disputes, and the businesses move. But now, the final one I want to request you. Murina kusasula emisoro zakayo. Because whatever you're asking us, we need money for it. I can tell you this. The first yardstick for your business to grow is on tax compliance. I did business where I played around with the taxes. It ended in tears. That was around 2010, 2012 there. It ended in tears. Since then, I learned my lesson. And where does it come from? You find you're employing tax consultants and auditors who think they are helping you by giving you a lower tax bill. Not the actual tax bill, but a lower tax bill. Because that's what my tax consultant told me when government was demanding me billions. He said, boss, I was helping you. And if you want to know how it works, the most profitable branches of banks have been Chikubo. But if you could see those Chikubo branches, how much money is paid there for tax purposes, nearly zero. And we had to talk here in town. You know Chikubo, you bring a container, you bring 2 containers, oyo mugaga, areta container, bili nebazitwara ozona. How are they taking all of them at once? If you haven't done something which has made your price much lower. So tax compliance is a very important component of business success. If you're going to get an international partner, if your company has matured, most of the international partners, when you're talking to them, the first thing, when he says, what's your turnover? You say, $10 million. How much have you paid in taxes? They start saying, you know, for us, we manage taxes. We can manage. Immediately, it's a turn-off. They'll go away. So, because in many countries, if you dodge tax, it's in America, I think it's I think it's even more than murder. It's even more than murder. Because it's also murder in another form. It's murder in denying patients care, you know, and critical intervention. Then when you do that, you also demand from us to ensure that we use your taxes well. I wish you well. I'm sorry for taking this long. I think I've taken a much trip of what I was supposed to. Thank you.
I want to thank the Honorable Deputy Speaker for those words of wisdom. The next very brief activity, first of all, is a small token of appreciation for the partners who supported us in organizing this event. They are going to get a small token. And then we shall have a cake cutting ceremony where we shall invite our presidential advisor, Madam Ajuba. We had noticed you, but we kept you for the end, so don't think we had forgotten you. So we'll come forward with our chairman, Mr. Kayemba, Madam Irene, and Director Opio. Please come forward and we close this quick function, and then national anthem. Then we have a wonderful dinner. So. Very well for mic. Please, the mic. I need them.
So, Right Honorable Deputy Speaker, thank you so much for those very encouraging, very supportive, and also insightful words that have going to make sure that the captains of industry here to go with hope that government is with them. I want to just make this quick and invite a few of the local manufacturers that we thought befitting to be able to recognize today. And we'll start with Ntake. I hope Ntake is here represented. Right, Honorable Deputy Speaker, we visited Ntake in Namave and they're doing a fantastic job. And this is to encourage others. Please come. The other person is Biria from Mbarara. I hope we have a representative from Biria. Please go on. Please make it to the, that's Ntake. I believe you're the son, right? Okay, then let's have Bidia United Agencies. They're doing a fantastic job in our seeds in terms of rice, beans, and all the other produce. They have a turnover of 270 per day, am I right? So we want also to recognize SAMS. Right, Honorable Speaker, SAMS has a beautiful story. He now has a contract of, yeah? I think you should tell him, and so that he could. So as it explains to you, it's going to be a game changer. Okay, then we have Tembo. Tembo, they are employing about 5,000 of Ugandans in this country. They continue to expand, and this subject matter, they are going to add value to our iron ore in Muko. And so thank you so much. I don't know if I've forgotten any other person. Oh, Mesha Still, right, Honorable. She's the only iron lady in Uganda. She is taking on the bull by the horn, competing with all these major manufacturers in the steel sector. And we pray that when you take care of those concerns, we'll be able to support her. Yeah. Thank you, Mesha Stills. Thank you so much. I think we'll now invite you to support us to cut that beautiful purple cake as we celebrate our 5 years of impact in this industrial private sector, but also in the integration of all our resolutions in the NDP4. Thank you so much.
Okay, we're set for the countdown. We shall do it at 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yes. Congratulations,
Congratulations and celebration when I tell everyone that you're in love with me. Congratulations and jubilation. I want the world to know I'm happy as can be.
We're finally going to have the national anthems, and then we close the official function. So please, let's stand up for the national anthem. Okay, we're going to have a photo, the board members and the Honorable Presidential Advisor and Deputy Speaker. First one photo, then the second photo for staff of CEO Fora, and then we close. So. Okay, CEO Fora.
Committee of the 7th bar, please. Bianca of UNAPSEC, NPA, Eli Twineo to represent Minister of Trade, UDC. So the entire team that was part of this 7th bar committee. I also would request that we have URSB joining and UNBS. Thank you so much. Make sure you're part of this committee. PCF staff, where are you? Now. Yeah. Sam's you in this group, but you kept dodging us. So.
Yes, before you leave, we have some meals. The technical committee, 7th bar, we are going to eat from the floating restaurant. The PCF board members, the ministers present, and also the sponsors. Then to the rest of the guests, the food is ready in the tent behind. We shall use this very area for meals. Then after we have some entertainment. Nile Beer is represented. So also that activity has to be handled also. But before we go, the meals are ready. Maybe wait for Deputy Speaker, Honorable Tayeba to go, then we can go and get our meals. The technical committee 7th bar, the board members, PCF,